Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another video. In today's video, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be reviewing Wandavision, and I know what you're probably thinking is, Noah, you already did that, but today I'm going to do a more in-depth review here because this is not going to be spoiler-free. So if you haven't seen it yet, definitely don't watch this video right now. Watch the spoiler-free one that I posted yesterday and then come back to this one once you've already seen it. So I'm going to start off this video the same way I started the other one, by talking about the plot. I thought that the plot of this was very interesting. I really liked how we incorporated so many old characters and new characters and combined them all to make this really cool story. Throughout the entire series, I was always hooked on what's going to happen next, how are we going to resolve this issue. I thought that overall it was just a really good story and it kept me entertained throughout the entirety of watching it. I like how we basically morphed genres like 4 times throughout the series. We started off with just like a sitcom. You were like, in the first episode, it just really felt like it was going to be a sitcom. And that's basically it. In the second episode and the third episode, I want to say, I'm kind of losing track of numbers here, but I think it was the second and third we added to the mystery. The fourth, we started just doing normal MCU, and then after that we combined normal MCU superhero genre with mystery with the sitcom, and I thought the 3 different genres that they were working with here worked really well together and they did a really good job there. Overall, it was just really good plot, really good use of the genres, and to go along with that, I really like how they messed around with the film form by doing this. So if you have seen the show, you'll obviously notice that it started out black and white, and each episode basically within Wanda's show was a different decade. So we started in the 50s, then the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, all the way up to the 2000s. And I love how they altered the show to fit the decade that it was supposed to fit. Like how we had black and white, we had the 4:3 ratio. And then after that, we still had 4:3 ratio, but we were in color. And I love that, how they did that. And then when we went outside of the hex and outside of Westview, you could see just we had the widescreen format, we had just like what you would expect TV to look like now. That was like their reality, and then the show would have all of its different stuff. I thought it was really cool how they did that. And aside from just messing with colors and aspect ratios and stuff, I love how inside each episode was just like a reference to a decade. The 2000s episode was my personal favorite just because that's the only one I've been alive for. That's the only one I actually recognized. I did recognize the Full House references in the, the 80s or the 90s? I can't remember. One of those 2 episodes referenced Full House, and I got that reference. Oh, and sorry, Malcolm in the Middle was the 90s and Full House is the 80s, I want to say. I don't know. I'm not really familiar with my old school TV, but I think that's what they were referencing. I got those references, but I just didn't enjoy them as much as the 2000s one, just because that's the one I've experienced. I've watched Modern Family, I've watched The Office, which is what they were referencing there for most of that. And overall, I just really loved how they would reference common shows that someone that was around for all of them would recognize them, and I think they would find it really cool as like a blast from the past type thing. Like my grandparents who were watching TV in the 50s, they would remember I want to say it was the Dick Van Dyke Show or something like that they were referencing. Don't quote me on that, I don't know. But yeah, I thought that was really well done. So we're going to use this as a segue here into the acting. I thought that all the actors did a fantastic job, but mostly I really liked Paul Bettany and especially Elizabeth Olsen. They did a really good job of capturing the essence of each of these different decades, and I already mentioned it in the spoiler-free review, but Elizabeth Olsen did a fantastic job as Wanda. She was able to capture all 5 or 6 or however many decades there was. She was able to perfectly play each of those different characters. And then she was able to play Wanda, who was struggling between villainy and grief, and just overall, it was just perfect. She did a fantastic job in the role, and like I said in the spoiler-free review, she actually made Wanda one of my favorite characters. Quick side note here before we continue the video. I realized after I posted the spoiler-free review that I called Wanda Scarlet Witch, and hopefully that didn't spoil anything for anyone who hadn't seen episode 8 yet. I honestly just always called her Scarlet Witch just because I knew that's what her name was, so I apologize if I spoiled it for anyone. I didn't mean to. I'm just so used to calling her that, and I didn't even think of it, so I apologize now if that did spoil it for anyone. Hopefully it didn't, but yeah, back to the video here. So while we're on the topic of Wanda here, I have to say, Wanda definitely was a fantastic character. They really were able to flesh out her character. Episode 8, where they were able to flesh into her backstory about the grief and about her being a Scarlet Witch, I thought that was a really good episode. At the time, I wasn't necessarily sure if I liked it, but looking back now, I did really like that episode. That episode was, again, something that we didn't really see from the MCU a whole lot. We just mostly see the happy characters, and every once in a while someone dies, everyone's a little sad. But we've never gone into a full character study like we did with Wanda, and I really liked that. And I kind of hope that we get some more of those in the future. I'm not really sure who else it would work with, because now that I'm thinking about it, no one else in the MCU really has as tragic a past, not even close to as tragic a past as Wanda does. So they might just leave it at Wanda, but I would really love to see some more in-depth character analysis of all of these different characters. So next up we have Vision, who's kind of an interesting character. He's died, 4 times now? Once as Jarvis in Age of Ultron, he died twice in Infinity War, and now he's died at the end of Wandavision here. And he's still technically alive, because White Vision, or whatever you want to call him, I don't know what his proper name is, but he's essentially Vision now. I'm kind of curious if, because it seems like in the climax, Vision talked to Vision and made him Vision. That's kind of confusing, but hopefully that makes sense. Like, Projection Vision talked to White Vision and gave him his humanity back, and he's like, oh, I am the Vision, and his eyes turned from robotic to human. So I'm thinking that Wanda now, because of that, might be able to start over with him. I'm not sure how that's gonna work. In the second post-credit scene, she was kind of by herself, isolated in the cottage, but I could see them bringing White Vision back and having them be in a relationship again, because it seems like he's basically Vision again, right? Like, I might be misinterpreting this, but it seems like White Vision is now Vision. He's got all his memories, he's the exact same body. The only thing he's really missing is the Soul Stone, and like, I want to say it was, who was it? It might have been Bruce who said, you take out the Soul Stone, you've still got the best parts of Vision. I want to say that's who said it, I don't know. Someone said it in Infinity War. So, you basically have Vision, and I'm curious to see where they're gonna go, is basically what I'm trying to say here. And yeah, his character was alright. Like, it obviously wasn't the focus. I liked how he went from clueless, loving Wanda, to questioning Wanda. Like, he looked like he wanted to kill Wanda at one point, and then he accepted her, and I love that part. I love that he was able to accept her flaws and accept that she was doing this for him, and he was able to bring her back down, just like we had seen him do at the end of, after Pietro's death, when we saw in the flashback. He was able to bring her back to reality and ground her, and again, he did that here, and that was a pretty cool moment, in my opinion. So the next character I want to talk about, actually I want to talk about 2 characters at once here, is Monica and Hayward. Hayward is, he's awful. Like, that was the point. He is a terrible person, and Monica is she's super cool right now. I don't really know her powers. It seems to have something to do with absorbing electromagnetic waves and energy and something. Like, we saw her absorb the bullets, and then they kind of just fell. And then we saw her when she entered the hex, her eyes were glowing blue, and she could see electromagnetic waves. So it's something about energy and something about electromagnetic waves. I don't know the comics. I don't know really what her powers are, but it seemed like she was building to have such a big role. Like, we spent a lot of time with her in the 4th episode on, and I was really expecting her to go head to head with Hayward, but all that really happened was he shot a couple rounds at her, and then he ran away, and then Darcy hit him with the truck, and then he was just out. I think that, I mean, I don't really care about Hayward, but I really would have liked to see more of Monica. I would have liked her to be the one that takes down Hayward, not Darcy coming in like an ex machina and just hitting him. Like, that was pretty boring in my opinion. So basically what I'm saying is, I would have liked to see more Monica. And another character I was hoping to see more of, but now I'm not, is Evan Peters' Quicksilver. And just, it is so infuriating how they handle this character. Like, in, what was it, episode 5, they introduced him, and I was like, this is amazing. The multiverse is here. Wanda created the multiverse. She brought Pietro back, inner grief, this is so cool. And then it was just Agatha all along. And he's a fake Pietro, they gave him a stupid name. It was like Ralph, it was like Agnes's husband. I don't care how smart you're trying to be with your names here. They baited us, just like they did in Far From Home when they released the promo of Mysterio going, yeah, I'm from Earth, whatever, it's the multiverse, blah, blah, blah. And just release the multiverse or don't release the multiverse. Stop teasing it and getting our hopes up here. And I just hated everything they did with Evan Peters as Quicksilver. Just cast someone random. I don't know why they did that. It's just not a cool thing to do. So the last character up here that I want to talk about is Agatha. Originally, I wasn't on board with her because I really wanted to see Wanda as the villain. And we kind of got a glimpse of that. And I feel like we still could get some of that because Agatha did say something like, yeah, you're destined to destroy the world. So that's going to be interesting. I kind of hope that happens. I really want to see Wanda as a villain. And over time, Agatha did grow on me. It's expanding the universe, it's bringing in magic, and initially, again, was a little concerned, but after thinking about it, it definitely made for a really cool climax. And her and Wanda's fight at the end, I really enjoyed. I thought that Agatha was a good villain. The only thing I'm confused about, however, is the fact that how Wanda dealt with Agatha was she put the spell around Westview, right? And a witch can't use it under another witch's house, or I don't know the exact rules, but like, you guys know what I'm talking about. And then, so that's how she subdued her. And then she put her under the spell to put her as a resident of Westview. But when she shut down the hex, what happened to Agatha? Because everyone else is released now. Vision's gone, the kids are gone. So what happened to Agatha? Is she under her own spell? Or is she free? I'm a little confused about what's going to happen to Agatha. I don't want to say I'd be surprised if we see her again, but she doesn't seem like the type of person who would be a main overarching villain like Thanos, or would be someone that comes up again and again like Loki. She seems like a one-off villain, so I think that might just be a plot hole, but I guess we'll see in the end. But anyways here, I've been talking about character for so long, it's probably time I should move on to something else. So, overall, the finale, I really liked the battle between, like I said, Wanda and Agatha. I really liked the Vision on Vision battle. I wasn't a fan of what they did with Monica, I already said that. But overall, with how they ended the episode with Wanda eventually being able to take care of her grief, she's still crushed, obviously, and she still has a lot of healing to do, but she was able to put that behind her, do the greater good, even though it really hurts her. And I think that the whole sentiment between her having to say goodbye to her family, I was expecting her to have to do that at some point. Still got a little emotional, like it was a pretty sad moment, and I thought it was really well done. They did a great job of nailing the emotional landing as well as the action landing, and it was just, overall, I think it was a really fitting end to the series. So, I'm trying to think if there's anything else I want to talk about here. One thing I do want to say is, I think the costume department did a fantastic job in this. I know costumes aren't something you think about a whole lot, but all of Wanda's, there's the comic accurate costume, and then there's the Scarlet Witch costume, and both those look super cool. All the other comic book accurate Halloween costumes, I thought those were all really cool looking. Although Quicksilver did look weird, it's comic accurate, so like, kind of cool. I know I'm not a fan of the comics, but I like the idea that they're doing it, so yeah. And overall costumes, again, each decade had to have a very specific set of costumes to match the theme of the episode, and I thought overall costume department deserve a round of applause here. They're often overlooked, but I think they did a really good job here. Okay, so the last thing I want to talk about here before I get into the rankings and whatnot is the end credit scenes. So The first one was about Monica, and a Skrull comes to talk to her, and is like, he wants to talk to you, and like points up in space, and says, he's an old friend of your mom's. So there's two ways you can take that. First is that Talos wants to talk to her, which is, I don't know if he's really a friend of Captain Marvel, but the other, and probably in my opinion more likely thing, is that she's talking about Nick Fury, because we saw Nick Fury in space, and it's kind of tough to decide right now which one it is. I'm guessing it's probably Nick Fury, because that would make a little more sense. He's probably putting together like his own new version of shield slash sword slash whatever, and that would be my guess, is he's going to recruit Monica to be like the head of it. And I think that would be pretty cool. She could also be talking to Talos, but I don't really know how they would work that in. And yeah, that's basically all I have to say about that one. So now in the second end credit scene, we see Wanda, and she's able to duplicate herself now somehow. Like she's making coffee, but she's also reading that book of spells. And then we hear her kids call out to her. And that's interesting because her kids don't exist. She shut down the hex. Her kids were just projections. Like they weren't even real people like everyone else in there. They were completely made up. So it's interesting that I'm thinking maybe it has something to do with the multiverse. Like maybe in another universe she does have them. So I think that's going to be interesting. That's probably going to lead into Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness would be my guess. I was originally thinking that Doctor Strange was going to create the multiverse in that movie, but now I'm thinking that Wanda might create the multiverse and Doctor Strange might be trying to stop her or control her or something. That would be my guess. It's going to be very interesting, that movie, I think, for sure. They better, like, they're obviously going to release the multiverse for real in that movie, and I'm really looking forward to that. That's probably one of the movies I'm most looking forward to for the MCU in Phase 4. Okay, so I know I said that the end credit scenes was the last thing I wanted to talk about, but I remembered now that something else I want to talk about is how initially when I was watching a lot of the second half of the season, I was really disappointed because I got in my head a bunch of theories that I thought were going to be true. Like, I thought that the aerospace engineer that Monica knew was going to be Mr. Fantastic, and I thought that was going to be really cool because it'd be like, oh, hopefully it's John Krasinski. And then when it turned out to be nobody, I was disappointed. And when Paul Bettany in an interview said, oh, there's an Avenger that you're never going to see coming, and I really liked working with him, he baited us again. I thought it was going to be, I really thought Captain Marvel was going to come in at the end, but he was really just referring to himself. I mean, pretty funny, but got my hopes up for a whole bunch of different things that I thought were going to happen. Like, I was really hooked on the Wanda as a villain thing. And yeah, that was just a little bit of disappointment I had at first. But now that I think back on it, I just gotta stop looking at theories and stuff. Like, I guess that's the bad thing about them having a show instead of a movie. The movie, I see it all at once. I can't see theories. I don't watch theories before I watch a movie. I don't try to watch theories before I watch the show. But like, a couple of Instagram accounts were like, what if this happens? I'm like, what if that does happen? And like, I'm getting my own hopes up. It's no fault of the show. I was originally holding it against it, but yeah, I've decided now I just need to stop doing that. Just wanted to put that out there, that that's something that everyone I think should be wary of, is don't get your hopes up. Don't believe in a bunch of these theories, because that's often what happens, is you get disappointed in the end. Okay, so that's everything I have to say now, so we'll finally get on to the ratings here. I think this is going to be a very long video. I've been recording for 28 minutes already, so we'll just do this quick here. I was really entertained. Every episode left on a cliffhanger, and I was really looking forward to see how it ended. And there wasn't any time, like, I tried to watch these as soon as I could all the time, so I don't think you can really get any more entertaining than that. So I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10 for entertainment value. And in terms of quality of film, it's just so close to a 10 out of 10. But the things that I can't give it a 10 out of 10 because of how they treated Evan Peters' character and how I think Monica should have ended up beating Hayward. Those are the only two problems I really have with this show. Everything else I've decided it's great. There's nothing else wrong with this show. That being said, I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10 for quality of film, or actually I guess more like quality of show. So I'm gonna give it a 9.5 out of 10 for quality of show, giving it a total overall rating of 9.75 out of 10. So close to perfect as you can be, but not a perfect 10 out of 10. If you're a fan of Marvel, if you're a fan of the MCU, highly recommend this. It's obviously going to be important to Phase 4, but even if you're just a casual viewer of Marvel or superheroes or action films, I would recommend this to anyone who likes sitcoms, anyone who likes superheroes, anyone, maybe not mystery, but yeah, I would suggest this show to anyone who asked if it was a good show. This is probably my favorite miniseries that I've ever seen, and yeah, if you haven't seen it yet and you're for some reason watching this video without seeing it, go watch it. It's on Disney+, and I'm really looking forward to, if the next shows are anything like this, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, gonna be fantastic. Loki, gonna be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to how this turned out. Anyways, that's all I have to say finally, so I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, don't forget to leave a like down below and subscribe for more videos. If you want more updates on my videos, check out my Instagram, ncd_films. Thank you guys all for watching this video, and have a good day.